the inside. It's victory. Surely he's got that one. Oh!
Touch!
This is Superleague Formula. Drivers from Formula One meet rising stars of the future, all of them chasing €1 million for their 2010 title.
This is the effective battle for the lead.
Whistle goes off, Dolby goes off as well. €100,000 goes to Olympiacos.
The second of two British rounds of Superleague Formula in 2010 comes from the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in Kent, close to pretty villages and attractive countryside in the Garden of England. The pace of life may be a little less frantic than in nearby London, except when you arrive at Brands Hatch itself, one of the most famous circuits in the world, a place where Jim Clark, James Hunt and Nigel Mansell have wowed fans of old and where the young are dreaming of driving racing cars and enjoying a great day out in the bargain. The Marshals have been having fun with the football side of Superleague Formula as well, and everybody's been getting into the mood and the party atmosphere. Well, this is the second of two races to be held in the UK. It all started at Silverstone for a wonderful weekend for Tottenham with two victories that day. Round 7 here at Brands Hatch, but there's plenty more to come because two new rounds have recently been confirmed in China in early October. So with those and Italy, Portugal and of course the big climax at the new circuit of Navarra in Spain, there's a long way to go in this championship. Well, hello and welcome from me, Ben Edwards. I'm with former A1 GP racer Earl Bamber and Abby Griffiths in pit lane. And Earl, this is a fantastic circuit.
Yeah, this is a fantastic circuit. One of the real old school circuits. The drivers have really enjoyed the challenge and been caught out by a few, but I think the big question this afternoon with the reverse grid is where are they going to pass? It's not the easiest track for that.
Definitely right. We'll have to see what happens. The cars are already preparing for the second race of the day, following the first 45-minute encounter earlier on this morning. Let's take a look at what happened. Seville started from pole position, but as they went into Paddock Hill Bend, it was Beijing in the green and white colours, driven by John Martin, who managed to squeeze down the inside. This was the view from on board, and look how close the two cars were, almost touching wheels. John Martin snatched the advantage. PSV went off pretty early. Narain Carter-Cayenne ended up in the gravel trap up at Sheen Curve, but Liverpool were on a charge. James Walker managing to find his way past Anderlecht on the approach into Paddock Hill Bend. A good move from somebody who knows the circuit, and he was also able to get past the Corinthians car a little further round at the left-hander at Stirling's. Robert Dornbos did seem to be struggling. Another one who struggled was Julien Jus. He just kept it out of the tyre wall as he went through the gravel track at Paddock Hill Bend, and he wasn't the only one. Third place Seville did it, and that allowed Tottenham through, and Tottenham therefore claiming the championship lead by finishing in second place. But nobody could hold a candle to John Martin of Beijing. He came through to take an absolutely dominant victory, his second win of the season, and he was very happy about it. So the result of that first race then, Beijing winning from Tottenham and Sporting Lisbon getting their best result of the season in third with Andy Soucek. AC Milan, former championship leaders coming into this race, were finished in fourth. Bordeaux in fifth, then Basel, Olympiacos and Galatasaray. Flamengo and Liverpool completed the top 10 finishers. We then saw Porto, Lyon, Anderlecht, Atletico Madrid, and then those cars that had varying degrees of problems, some of them failing to finish. Well, in terms of the championship, it means that it's just 1 point now between Tottenham and AC Milan. Really close, and we've still got the two races to go today. FC Basel in third place, Anderlecht in fourth, but tied there, as you can see, with Olympiacos on 377. Flamengo, AS Roma and Sporting Lisbon are next, followed by Bordeaux and Porto. Behind them, we've got Galatasaray, Liverpool making some moves, but needing to move up a little further, and Beijing, of course, scoring extremely well, but with the reverse grid, they now start right at the back. So everything really is up for grabs in this reverse grid start. Let's see how they will get on. It'll be Narain Carter-Cayenne for PSV, who starts from pole. Julien Jus, who won at Zolder last time out for AS Roma, he starts second. Then Martinez for Seville and Dornbos for Corinthians. Let's hope they've got that car running well. Maria starts fifth for Atletico Madrid. Davide Rigon sixth for Anderlecht. Then Frank Pereira for Lyon, and Alvaro Parent is eighth for Porto. James Walker's ninth for Liverpool. Duncan Tappy, fellow Englishman, is next door to him, driving for Flamengo. Then Tristan Gomedy for Galatasaray, and Chris van der Drift had some brake problems. He starts in 12th. Max Wissel for FC Basel is next with Frank Montagny of Bordeaux. Then Jelmer Berman, he starts 15th ahead of Andy Soucek in the Sporting Machine. And then, of course, Craig Dolby, who is now the championship leader once again, and John Martin starts right up at the back. Well, overtaking is difficult, but if they're going to score points, that's what these boys are going to have to do. And we saw John Martin starting on the outside of the front row for the beginning race, and he had to push and really squeeze his way into the lead, into the first corner to make sure of that victory. It was pretty tight. He managed to dive down to the inside. Martinez perhaps showing his lack of circuit knowledge by not defending, and it did allow that little bit of space. And this is a fairly typical bit of Super League action. Just one example of what Super League Formula can produce. Corinthians, Robert Dormouse. Oh, he's crashed.
Dolby's out! Dolby's in trouble!
Oh no, Corinthians has got up and over. It's victory. Oh, we've got a car off already. He's taken out Montagnier.
Okay, well, Frank, come tell us what's happened.
I don't know what he thinking about his mind.
It's just plain dangerous, it's stupid.
She gets past, but then she retakes second place.
Not yet, not yet, not yet. I'm going to go anyway.
Yeah, but there's the difference between making a mistake and making something like that.
I can see that you're shaking.
Dolby's out!
Yeah, it's fine.
Dolby's in trouble! He's been hit! He's lost his front wing!
Are you hurt?
I'm all right.
Oh, Tottenham and AC Milan. AC Milan's gone past Tottenham. What happened there?
This is the effective battle for the lead!
They go side by side. Oh, touch!
Spurs trying to get out the inside. Is this Dolby's chance? Yes, they're almost wheel to wheel.
And here we are with the latest instalment of this intriguing story. And Tottenham now leads the championship by 1 point, reclaiming the advantage lost at Zolder. And Dolby did that by keeping the pressure on Marcos Martinez in race 1 until the Spaniard made a crucial mistake at Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, Martinez was in second place for Seville, making a big mistake, big oversteer moment into the gravel, and this was the move for the championship lead. Dolby going through easily.
That's right, and it was a crucial move, as you say, because Jelmer Berman for AC Milan, who came here to Brands Hatch as the championship leader, now second in the points, but there are still 2 races to go for him today. Abby spoke to him just a few moments ago.
Jelmer, Craig has gone to the top of the championship table, only by 1 point, though. What does that mean for this race?
Nothing special, I think. Like always, the championship's still long. And I'm ahead of him now for the start, so try to keep it that way. And hopefully I can claim it back in the end of the, at the end of the day.
Do you think that is important, having the reverse grid, having you just in front of him, because it is a track that's hard to overtake on?
Yeah, of course it's important. I mean, like I said, very difficult to overtake. First race as well, I was sometimes quite a bit quicker than the car in front of me, but still it's very difficult to overtake.
Good luck.
Meanwhile, near the sharp end of the grid, Seville's Marcos Martinez looked all set for third in that first race and his first podium of the year. But, Earl, sadly, it wasn't to be, was it?
No, it wasn't to be. After that moment at Paddock Bend, he still was in third place, but unfortunately, with 2 laps to go, the car running out of fuel. Incredibly embarrassing. But for him, fortunately, he's up front. Can he convert a podium this time?
But right at the front is former Jordan Grand Prix driver Narain Kartikeyan. He's driving for PSV. He's won races in just about every category he's raced here at Brands Hatch, including A1GP a couple of years ago. But the reason he's on pole was a mistake in that first race, wasn't it? And it was pretty early on as well, out on the section of the circuit where very easy to make mistakes. He went off into the gravel, as you can see, and this just dumped him into the gravel. There wasn't an awful lot he could do about it. Out of the race. Abby caught up with him a few moments ago.
It is your first pole of the season. It does mean that you had a bad race too. What can you do from the front?
The car's quite fast, I think, and we'll try and do our best. We have, we've made some more changes. It's a shame that the first race didn't go according to plan, but having said that, this has become an advantage in some ways. So, we'll try and do our best. I go well in Brands Hatch normally, so the car's fast enough.
Narain, you do have a new engineering team. Is that proving effective? Is that changing things for you?
Well, it's still, doing 2 programs, one in NASCAR and one here doesn't help. And, my ex-engineer was also not bad, but he's been with the team a long time, so he knows what he's doing.
Best of the luck.
Right, well, here we go then. The grid lines up. It's a good day at Brands Hatch. We've got a little bit of cloud overhead, but pretty much ideal conditions, I'd say, Earl.
Yeah, I think it's perfect conditions this afternoon. Not too hot for the drivers, but still it's going to be a mighty challenge this afternoon. I can't wait for the race. I think we're going to have a lot of action.
Yeah, this reverse grid certainly sets things up beautifully because, of course, the fastest car starts at the back. And there it is, the car that won earlier on. It is John Martin, the Australian driver. He starts from the very back of the field, but he loves Brands Hatch, as does the next man.
Yep, Craig Darby for Tottenham. He's a man that really likes to charge. He'll be working his way up through the field. He's looking strong.
He is. So I thought big thumbs up from him. He's always confident, isn't he? Now, watch out for Andy Soucek. He's driving for Sporting Lisbon. Only his second event in Super League, but he's been pretty impressive so far, and he's had great experience of this circuit. But next to him is a crucial member of the grid.
Yep, lined up in 15th, AC Milan, Jarmo Berman. He's in front of the current championship leader, Tottenham, so he's looking for a good result today, holding out Tottenham.
Watch out also for the next car on the grid because Frank Montagny, he's got so much experience. He came home with a good result, 6th place in that first race, by staying out a bit longer, I noticed, before he made his pit stop. So that could be one to watch in this one. And here's another experienced Frenchman.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Max Wissel.
Yeah, Max Wissel lining up in 13th. He had a really good race this morning. Lost out at the start, but made some fantastic passes getting back to 6th for the first race.
Yeah, young German racer, of course. Next up is the Kiwi, Chris Vanderdrift, a man you know well. But he had a bit of a problem earlier.
Yeah, he had a lot of brake problems in the first race. It was just a race to get through it, so he'll be looking for a move forward this one.
And Tristan Gomedy next on the grid. He was going well until something went wrong in the pit stop.
Yeah, disaster in the pit stop. One of the mechanics getting knocked over a little bit, but good recovery.
Next up is another English driver, but he's driving for a Brazilian team. There it is. It's Duncan Tappy driving for Flamengo. Not driven on the full Grand Prix circuit before this weekend, so he's adapting pretty effectively to it. But James Walker showed that he knows there are some good places to overtake.
Yeah, he showed his real track experience this morning. Struggled earlier, switched to Jan Berman setup. Now he's on a charge.
Just ahead of James on the grid, another driver who knows the place well. He's Portuguese, but he's a former British F3 champion, and that is Alvaro Parente. There he is, sitting in the FC Porto colours, his hometown, his home football club, and he starts on row 4, and alongside him is Frank Pereira in the Lyon car.
Yep, Frank Pereira's back for this weekend. Struggled early on, had a spin early in the weekend, but now he's getting back in the groove of Superleague Formula.
Yeah, it's good to see. Sebastian Bourdais, of course, was in that car earlier on the season. Anderlecht disappointed in qualifying. They had an off in the free practice session in the morning. But Davide Rigon could be one to watch in this race. What about the next one on the grid? Because Maria de Vallota starting from this third row.
Yep, Maria's done a great job. She was well up in the first race. Now for the second race, starting fifth, I expect some good things.
Well, let's see. She did make life hard for some who wanted to overtake her last time out at Zolder, didn't she? She doesn't always make life easy, which is fair enough. That's her job for as a racing driver. Corinthians next up, Robert Dornbos. Let's hope that car's running well, because it's had all sorts of problems this weekend. And there's Marcus Martinez.
Yeah, Marcus Martinez was on for a podium in the first race. Unfortunately now ran out of fuel. Hopefully he can get a podium this time.
And so we come to the front row then. Julien Jus, winner at Zolder last time out of race 2, tightens up those straps. But the man he's got to beat off the pole position is Narain Kartikeyan, and we all know how much he likes this place.
Yeah, Narain Kartikeyan loves this place. Every single category he's ever raced in, he has won in. And I think this afternoon in Superleague Formula, he's going to try continue that record and take out the race.
Well, let's see if he does it. He did it in A1GP a couple of years ago, was on the podium in the last A1GP race here just over 12 months ago. Let's see what he can do. Oh, and he's making a start before he's actually meant to there, I think. I don't think they've actually been given the green flag. Don't get too carried away, Narain. As he mentioned in his interview, he's mixing this program with racing in, there we go, that's a bit better, with racing a NASCAR pickup truck in the States, and of course procedures and everything is different, so he's having to change his mindset all the time.
Yeah, and it's incredibly difficult for a driver changing from different rule sets. And also, Narain, I guess these days is used to having a roof over his head, and now he's in a single-seater, really nimble, really fast with downforce, opposed to the truck, which has no downforce and really raw, no technology inside it. So it is a real challenge, and we've seen him struggle sometimes, but generally towards the end of the weekend, he's back on it, and I think he should be on form this afternoon. If his track record for Brands Hatch stands for anything, then he should be hard man to beat.
Right, now we've got the radio on board a couple of cars. Let's talk to Craig Dolby. Craig, this is Ben in the commentary box. So you've got a lot of work to do from back here, mate. Can you defend that new championship lead you've got again? Oh, just
that's the plan. I mean, Yelmer's only one in front of me. So we'll see. Let's go and have fun and make a good show for the crowd.
Have a good one.
So just have to apologise for my language in that first race. So sorry, guys.
See what's going on there. Did we get Craig there? I was trying to work out what was going on.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear Craig there, but it just seems like he's in the normal procedure, warming up the car, warming up the brakes. It's a really important part to get the tyres warm enough for the start and to have maximum grip. Craig Dolby's a man that loves to attack off the line.
This is Ben in the commentary box to Chris. Chris, how are things looking from your point of view as you build up to this second race? Getting a little bit of break-up on that one, I'm afraid, guys.
Now, unfortunately, Chris is way out the back of the circuit. Within the trees there, it's very hard to hear out the back there. This circuit has got a fantastic layout. It's like going into a national park out the back. But as they come into this main back straight, they're about to line up for the start of the race.
So here we go then. The cars are just getting that tyre temperature, that crucial grip level up. The pace car will be heading into the pit lane as they come back into clearways, and heading around it is PSV with Narain Kartikeyan. Well, he's one of the most experienced competitors in the field. He's got the young Frenchman Julien Jus right alongside. That's the onboard view. We're ready to go racing here at Brands Hatch, the second race of the day, as we ride on board Chris van der Drift. Can Narain Kartikeyan control this and take the lead at the start? Away we go. It's a little bit of a messy start. PSV leads, and the battle is on for second place as they go into paddock, and it's Seville that's taken second from AS Roma. Martinez moves up into second. Roma's down to third. I think Corinthians next up in fourth. And watch the guys at the back. You've got the fast car. Dolby, look, trying to go around the outside. Oh, and he's managed it. And the front wing off the Beijing car, and John Martin's out.
No, that's a great shame there for John. Race 1 winner, and he's stuck in the gravel trap now. And now it's all battle on here, midfield.
It's all pretty crazy stuff. I can tell you, actually, I said John Martin's out. He's rejoined. Dolby's still on a charge down the inside into Surtees. Locks up, just about getting through the corner. And they're still there. Andy Soucek was battling with him in the green Sporting Lisbon car. And Dolby's dropped to the back. AC Milan's right there. Look, the championship contenders absolutely together. There's more battling going on between Flamengo and Lyon. This is Super League racing at its best.
Yeah, look at these guys. They're still going side by side. Dolby off the track, over the curb. And look up the inside. Oh, that was incredibly close. now Dolby's got a run on him.
Somebody else was kicking up the dust as well. It's manic on this first lap. It's the quick guys at the back. All are trying to fight their way through, but they haven't. Oh, Dolby's got past Souček. So Dolby now behind Max Vissel of FC Basel. And I'll tell you what, Max Vissel's going to have to go some this weekend if he's going to get in a super final and maintain his 100% record.
Yep, no, that's exactly. We're quite interested to see who made contact there with John Martin, because they might have a puncture as they come through the start-finish line first side. PSV out front.
So across the line they go. PSV leading this race. It is Narain Kartikeyan who is leading this race at the moment. And as they come up the hill, they're still more battling. Liverpool trying to have a little look up the inside. That was James Walker trying to get up the inside of Olympiakos. Couldn't make the move stick, so he's still in 12th place. Meanwhile, Porto runs over on the grass. Just as well it's been dry this weekend, otherwise he'd have been in big trouble. Up front, PSV have the advantage by nearly 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, what a fantastic opening lap. So much action all over the place.
Corinthians still up in 4th place. Ganderlecht, oh, there is the Beijing car. I told you he had got out of the gravel. I thought he would be stuck there.
Yeah, no, he did a good job to get out of the gravel, but that's really destroyed his race this afternoon. All John Martin can hope for now is a safety car. It's the worst thing, first lap, and I don't even think that was his fault. He was minding his own business and someone chopped in front of him. As we can see, AS Roma here down in 3rd place. Hopefully, they had fuel pressure problems earlier. Hopefully they'll fix them now.
Yeah, that's right. That's why he ended up on the front of the grid, but he didn't get the start quite right and ended up losing the place to Seville. There's some more battling going on further back there. Galatasaray going through. Lyon just ahead was trying to get past Flamengo. Dolby still down there. AC Milan still in the race, so all still running. Those championship contenders that we've been watching out for, they're all still in the race at the moment, but as we've seen, Beijing, one of the biggest losers so far. Pereira looking pretty racy in the Lyon car. There's that little gap back to Galatasaray there, the yellow and red. Then Olympiakos, the red and white car of Chris van der Drift. He's got James Walker of Liverpool behind him. Then the Montagne Bordeaux car, that's just tucked in behind in 13th position. And then let's just take a look at that start. It wasn't particularly tidy, was it?
No, it was a very, very messy start there. AS Roma probably getting the worst of it there, immediately losing 2nd place. And then as they go in, and here we go, let's have a look. This is quite crucial. Craig Dolby on the grass, and it was actually Dolby that just sliced off the front wing by the looks of it, and also making contact with Sporting. So hopefully those two drivers, let's go on board Dolby. Have a look from his point of view. Darts to the outside. The wing actually broke just before he touched anyone, so I think that's a front wing failure, which is incredibly unlucky for John Martin.
Yeah, that was odd, wasn't it? Because it was definitely before Dolby went around him, so they didn't make contact, the two of them, unless he'd already made contact with somebody through Paddock Hill Bend, perhaps.
Yeah, that's quite a possibility. And Dolby locking up again. What a frantic first lap.
Yeah, it was great. But we're on board here with AS Roma. Julian Juice, he's running 3rd, but he looks potentially faster than Marcos Martinez, who's running 2nd in the white and red car. Look at the grid progression graphic on the left there. You can see PSV obviously have maintained top spot, but there have been winners and losers. Seville have gained 1, Roma have lost 1, Flamengo have gained 2, Lyon have lost 2. And we're back on board with AS Roma in this chase for 2nd place.
Yeah, no, this is a brilliant battle, and throughout the whole field we've got still the cars really bunched together, and a nice gaggle as we go on board. AS Roma going out into the back section, underneath the bridge is beautiful, sweeping through there and then down into this hugely fast 5th gear corner in the race. It's brilliant.
PSV just on a very quick lap there, Earl. A 1:15.2. How should we look at that with a full tank of fuel? Are we looking at a really strong pace here?
That's a really, really strong pace. Bearing in mind that Narain Kartikeyan would have saved a set of tyres because he went out so early in that first race. He'll be tough to beat, and he's really setting his mark on trying to win this 2nd race today.
He is trying to. He's flying along at the moment. There's the other groups behind. Dolby, there he is for Tottenham. And currently, remember, he sits 2 places behind AC Milan in this race. Still got a pit stop to deal with, long way to go. Just about 40 minutes still to go in this race, and a lot can happen in that time. Dolby is the king of the overtakes in Superleague Formula, but he's got a hard one to overtake ahead of him here. It's FC Basel and Max Vissel, and Max Vissel is one of the quickest young drivers in Superleague, like Craig Dolby. He's been in it pretty much from the start a couple of years ago. They both know how to handle these big V12 powered monsters, and he's not going to make it easy for Dolby to come past.
No, he's not going to make it easy for Dolby. It's also incredibly quick, but look at this beautiful gaggle of cars. It's so close. One little mistake around this Brands Hatch circuit, which is very easy to do, and one of them will slip by. At the moment, as it stands, AC Milan have the championship lead because they're in front of Tottenham.
Yeah, that's right. But it's all going to be very close. So remember, it's only a point different coming into this race. So
yeah, and look how close Dolby is.
Yeah, he's really going to have a little look here. Perhaps is Tottenham's Craig Dolby, but really we're not likely to see a manoeuvre up into this corner because it sort of narrows up on you. It certainly feels like it narrows up, even if it actually doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. A lot of the time it looks really wide on the way in, but then all of a sudden it comes down on you. It's hard to pass anybody into that corner. It's so fast as well. So we see Frank Montagna here.
Yeah, and watch the push to passes. You notice when it glows red in the top of their screen there, that means the driver, in that case SCP, that was Porto, using their push to pass. Liverpool, you can see, Liverpool are using their push to pass. It's worth nearly another 50 horsepower, but of course the straights here at Brands Hatch are not long, and it's difficult to take advantage of it. Tottenham still trying. There's Andy Soucek. Oh, and Liverpool did try. We saw them on the power, and it almost worked, but he couldn't quite get alongside Flamengo.
Yeah, couldn't quite get alongside, but that was a very close attempt. And then what you're trying to do is cross them over up into this hairpin here. As we see the PSV car, fastest lap at the moment. This is a textbook drive from Narain Carter-Kane, and what we really expected from him around this Brands Hatch circuit.
Yeah, that's right. He is just easing away. Look at the gap. Back to second, that's Seville with Marcos Martinez, the Spanish driver for a Spanish club. And then behind him, the French driver on board, an Italian club, Julien Jus for AS Roma, with SC Corinthians still running in fourth place. So it does look as though the mechanical woes that Corinthians have suffered throughout the weekend might have been sorted. He's not lapping quite as quick as the race leader is Robert Dornbos, but still is running at a reasonable pace. Behind Corinthians, it's Anderlecht in fifth position. Sixth place currently for Maria de Vallota. She's holding on to sixth place. And part of the mix, actually, she's not really dropped hugely from the car in front of her. So she's maintaining a pretty sensible pace. So we're riding on board third placed Julien Jus.
Yeah, but as we see in the background, there was FC Porto trying to put a move on Atletico Madrid. Can he get it done round the outside at Padical Ben? Very difficult move.
Didn't happen. And Maria de Vallota, she is not going to make it easy. We said she won't, and she fights for every inch, doesn't she?
Yep, no, and she's really holding her ground there.
Yep, she's not dropped far behind the car ahead of her, which is Anderlecht. That's Porto still chasing Maria. And then behind Porto, the blue car of Porto, you've got Flamengo. Duncan Tapie, the Englishman, hoping for a good result on home soil. And behind him, the Frenchman, Frank Pereira, in the Olympic Lyonnais car. On board with Parent. And he's got to try and find a way past Maria, but so far he hasn't been able to. And in fact, he's dropped back a little bit into the clutches of Duncan Tapie here.
You know, he's jumped back into the clutches. Just shows that little mistakes, trying to attack someone, it does affect. And with all the cars being so close, it's really easy to lose a position around here.
Yeah, that's right. And he's got to be aware of that. There's Duncan Tapie then. Former Formula Ford Festival winner here at Brands Hatch on the short circuit. Very prestigious victory that was. He's a former British Formula Renault champion as well, and he's been super sub really for this year. Whenever he jumps in the car, he's always competitive, always got a great attitude too. Lovely to see him out this weekend. All very much in a race-by-race deal though, so let's wait and see whether he gets a chance to be in the car once again. Across the line he goes. He's chased by Frank Pereira, another driver who's doing a bit of sort of moving around of teams. He was driving for Flamengo earlier this year, and now he's driving for Lyon.
Yep, no, and here we go. FC Porto really putting the pressure on Maria de Vallota again for Atletico Madrid. She's doing a very good job this weekend, though, holding off sixth place and not really challenged. The back guys, the quick guys in this championship, by no means are catching it. They're actually on the same pace as this group in front.
Yeah, the only person who's really in a different league to anyone else at the moment is the race leader, who's just won a 1 minute 14.7. Narain Carter-Kane is flying.
It really wouldn't surprise me if Narain's on brand new tyres right now compared to everyone else, and I imagine he's got another new set of tyres to go in. So I think he's going to be a really dominant one. Let's go on board with Narain and listen for a moment.
Yeah, watch him, Earl. Tell us where is he getting all this speed from?
He just looks right now, he's got supreme grip. The car's really handling really well. And let's watch through Padical Ben. He's just got more grip than the rest of them. I think it's just coming from some newer tyres saved from the previous race after he went off.
Beautiful through Padical Ben there, just using a little bit of road tight into the hairpin. Carries a lot of speed in. Just runs a touch wide there, but now he's got it all under control. He's where he wants to be, out in front in a major international single-seater formula. This is Superleague Formula. It's a formula with a difference where each of the cars is identified by one of the famous international football clubs. In his case, of course, it's the famous Dutch club, PSV Eindhoven. A very, very successful Dutch football team. But right now, Narain's just concentrating on guiding this missile around a narrow, twisty, up and down circuit that is Brands Hatch. Let's just take a look what's been happening here. Dolby's been on the attack, trying to get past Max Wissel. Did he do it? I don't think he did.
No, didn't get past there. Got alongside, but it's so hard to complete that crossover move.
So we're riding with him now. Look at the push to passes available, and if we look at we're looking at the top of the list at the moment. PSV, of course, still got 7 left because Narain Karthikeyan doesn't need to use it because he's out in front, whereas Maria's already used several of her. She's used half her allotment of, if you like, of push to passes.
Yeah, another person that's really keen on them at the moment, Liverpool FC, and also this man, Craig Dolby, that we can see on really putting pressure on FC Basel.
Yeah, he has got 5 left, I can tell you. Tottenham still have 5 chances to use it. Beijing using their push to pass, but they're right at the back, if you remember, after having to make a pit stop after the front wing got damaged on the opening lap here. Again, Craig Dolby's not really close enough to the back of the FC Basel car. Max Wissel defending, not even having to move around too much, just holding his line, and there's no chance for Dolby to go through as yet. So, still a way to go in this race. The pit window will be opening up fairly soon, not just yet. So they're all just trying to find their rhythm at this stage.
That pit window is going to be an incredibly important factor in this race. We can see that all the top contenders are just holding station right now. They can't really move forward, can't really go back. The pit stops are really going to make it or break it between those guys, and also the tyres I've got to go on with. Here we go, Narain Karthikeyan streaking away out front, already up to a 7-second lead.
Yeah, 7 seconds, that is amazing. But he's got no troubles at all. So as he comes through Clearway's corner, through there in 4th gear, watch the gears up, 5th gear onto Brabham Straight, 6th gear, 7th gear, nope, 6th gear.
Okay, you should know these cars have only got 6 gears.
I should. I'd forgotten. I'm getting distracted by the 7 down below. So Narain Karthikeyan still holding this advantage at the moment, 7.5 seconds, and back down the hill into Cooper Straight. And if he just holds it all together, of course, it will depend on the boys putting in a good pit stop, but the crew that's looking after that car now are very, very experienced. They're looking after a number of teams in pit lane and into the pits, but not for a sort of scheduled pit stop is Corinthians, and that means he's got a problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it looks like he's got a big problem. Really not his weekend, troubled the whole time by minor little difficulties. They had the car rolled over at the last race and had to completely rebuild it, and now just more and more problems.
Up out of Surtees they come. There is the group at the back of the field, the potential race winners, because they've all got great speed, but with the reverse grid, it's proving to be pretty tough to make any progress. Dolby still behind Basel. There is AC Milan. Now, AC Milan, as they stand at the moment, would be 3 points ahead. If they finish as they are now, and of course there's a long way to go in this race with the pit stops and everything, but if it were to finish as it is now, with AC Milan 1 place with a car between themselves and Tottenham, they would be 3 points ahead of Tottenham. Yeah. So it's just a seesaw battle at the moment.
It is, but we've still got a very, very, very long way to go. We've still got 30 minutes left in this race, still pit stops to come, so I expect some more positions to change throughout the race. So you see Christian Gomendi, he did a superb job until a mishap of pit stops, and here's the man, Chris van der Drift. He had a shocking first race, still finished 7th, but we expected a lot more from him. He had brake problems throughout the first race.
Yeah, chased there by James Walker of Liverpool. He's in 11th position, and no real change there at the moment. There's the battle for 2nd. You can see, Marcos Martinez just giving it a bit too much right foot and squirming his way out of Surtees.
Yeah, it looks like he's starting to lose the rear tyres, and that's a great thing for AS Roma. When you see a car in front squirming across the road, you know his rear tyres are going, and this is your opportunity. As the teams start to come out into pit lane, I think in 15 seconds we're going to have the pit lane open, and it's going to be a flurry of action down there.
Yeah, that's right. The team's trying to hope that they've timed it correctly so that they come in almost on the dot of the 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So as the clock ticks away, the pit lane
is open now, and they've got 10 minutes in which to make their stop, and it's up to the teams to decide when they do that. And coming into the pits, we've got our first cars already coming into the pits. PSV not coming in as yet, of course. It's more cars, well, it's Seville coming in, yep, so one of those front runners, and Anderlecht coming in as well. So Seville from second position.
Yep, now we've got a stream of the top cars coming in. We've got Olympiacos, Liverpool FC, and Tottenham. Tottenham's a really important car in this.
Oh! Tight in pit lane, Liverpool and Anderlecht running side by side. One's coming in and one's going out. They've got to cross over, and they do just about manage it.
Yep, no, these are really important stops here right now. Tottenham have got to get a good, clean stop. This is important for them. How does it look? Oh, a little bit slow on the rear.
Yeah, and it's a used set of tyres, I think, whereas Liverpool had a new set of tyres. But look at that, Olympiacos and Liverpool came in together, and there's been absolutely no change between them. Out comes Craig Dolby, and it looks like a used set of tyres on board that car.
Yeah, it looks like he's on another used set of tyres, probably trying to save a set, maybe for the super final, but now he'll be flat tack on the push to pass, trying to make up track time.
Yeah, and it's an important time for Craig Dolby with a bit of clear space ahead of him. Meanwhile, Corinthians back into the pits, and it's all over by the looks of things. It's been a miserable weekend. Podium in the first race at Zolder, but that rollover in the second race has had real knock-on consequences. Meanwhile, the race leader is into the pits. There he is. Narenka Takayan brings his car in, but he's got a massive advantage, remember. So this does not need to be a rushed stop. There was the guy that was third. Now, this is more interesting because he and Seville will be close.
Yep, no, it was a very, very slow stop there for PSV, though. He's got a new set of tyres to go on, but there was still an incredibly slow stop. Luckily, he's got such a big lead.
Yeah, I think he should be safe, shouldn't he? We're waiting to see Seville come round. Here comes Seville as AS Roma comes out of pits. Seville will reclaim second, and AS Roma again losing out a little bit as bearing down with them. They've got to watch out for Bordeaux, I think. AC Milan in, that's a crucial stop as well. How's that gone?
No, he's still behind FC Basel, but let's look for the other man. Tottenham, where is Tottenham going to be? He's going to come out right behind AC Milan. Now he's got the warm tyres. Can he make advantage of it?
This is a battle between the two championship contenders, remember. AC Milan's just rejoined. Dolby's on a set of tyres that have already done one lap. He's got good grip, good tyre temperature, but AC Milan will try and fend him off. So Dolby will really want to try and get past in this first opportunity.
Yep, no, he will. We'll be really looking to put the pressure on. And here we go. Beijing's not really important right now. They had that front wing failure in the first lap. Very, very slick pit stop, though, by that team.
Yep, they've got him on his way once again. Meanwhile, battle going on here. Lyon looks to be maybe in a bit of trouble, actually. Olympiacos getting past there. Liverpool trying to chase. What's happening here?
Yep, no, it looks like, oh, they're still blocking, but it looks like Lyon are really, really slow, and this is grueling for Liverpool FC. Can't get past.
No, and of course he's losing ground to Olympiacos at the same time. So I don't know whether Frank Pereira had a bit of a moment, something went wrong, and it slowed the car briefly, but now he seems to be back up to speed, and he's defending fairly ably. By the way, I can tell you that Maria Zavalotta's just left the pits, as has Alvaro Parent. There's been no change, so Parent unable to get past Maria on the pit stops. Oh, James Walker having a little look down the inside, but that was never really going to be on. So very, very close battling as the pit stops sort of roll through, and people have got different tyres, different pace, but actually there's been no change between AC Milan and Tottenham, and if it stays like this, then AC Milan will regain the initiative in the championship, but it will be by just 1 point. So again, virtually nothing in it.
Yep, no, it's virtually nothing, and the two main championship rivals are right at the back of the field at the moment, still just proving how difficult it is on this Brands Hatch circuit to get by, but that hasn't stopped the action.
Good fastest lap, by the way, just been set by Flamengo, by Duncan Tappy. Where did that come from, I wonder?
Oh, Duncan's always shown a lot of pace around here. He just hasn't quite had a good run and had a weekend come together, similar to John Martin before he had that race win earlier. Craig Dolby using all the road and then some.
You know that bit of track very well, don't you, El?
Yeah, I do know that bit of track very well, and he's using it right to the max. And Christian Gomedy, obviously something's gone wrong, shaking the head. That's not a good stop, or something's gone wrong. Not a weekend for him. 2 bad pit stops.
That's a real shame because, yeah, there was an incident in the first race where one of his crew got knocked over. So, really tough weekend for Galatasaray. He rejoins the fray there, back out behind Basel, I think. Meanwhile, still behind them, you've got AC Milan and Tottenham. Maria's still running in 9th place, by the way. In fact, Porto, I think, did get past on the outlap. That's interesting. Porto did manage to get past Atletico Madrid on that outlap, so has managed to gain 1 place. We're back on board here though with Craig Dolby and Tottenham, and with 5 push-to-passes available for AC Milan, 4 available for Tottenham. Jelmer Berman's got the advantage because he's got that 1 extra.
Yep, no, he does at the moment. Craig Dolby all over the curbs, looking very, very ragged. But this is a slow Leon car. Look at the gaggle of cars behind him. And I think we're going to have a fantastic battle here in a few moments. Yeah. As Corinthians are still trailing around. They'll obviously come back out of the pits, but still no luck with the pace. He's a really respected driver, knows to get out of the way and not interfere in the race for these guys.
Apparently he can't downshift properly. He's got that gearbox problem that sometimes comes along if you have an air pressure problem. And there's Frank Montani. He's gone for the late stop yet again in the Bordeaux car. It worked for him pretty well earlier on. I wonder whether this is going to bring him out.
Yeah, this will be interesting for him. Same with Andy Soucek, very, very late out. Oh, no, very slow stop, though. Stumbling.
Looked like they sort of held it, didn't they, as the Bordeaux car came out? Not quite sure there.
Yeah, Soucek's lost a lot of ground in that. That wasn't the right strategy to be on, unfortunately, for Soucek.
No, Bordeaux the same, really, because Montani's come out behind AC Milan, behind Tottenham, and that's really pretty much the back of the field, isn't it? Apart from Beijing, who had that problem, and Corinthians, who are limping.
Yeah, the reason why you see these guys lose so much ground is that people are going onto fresher rubber, and when you put new tyres on, you're picking up half a second to a second. So when you're still on your old rubber, unless they're getting held up by traffic, then they're going to go quicker than you. So it's just like a flying lap. That's why you see these guys get jumped. It's very confusing at home sometimes, but that's what's happening. That's why they all dive in at the first moment into the pits.
And PSV, by the way, making full use of that, still leading the race. Now, again, look how close Dolby's getting to his big championship rival. And I tell you what, last time out at Zolder, Jelmer Berman pulled a move on Craig Dolby that was, in a way, a bit of a sort of psychological blow. It was one of those moves that caught Craig Dolby out, and he's not usually one to be caught out. And you can just sort of feel him wanting to get his revenge, and he feels as though he may be close enough to do that here.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. He's had better car pace. He's clearly been the quickest man all weekend. He had a second in the first race, but a blinding fastest lap.
So let's just watch them as they come through Paddock Hill Bend. I don't think that Craig's quite close enough there, but Berman's got to not make a mistake. Meanwhile, let's get some reaction from Robert Dornbos. He's talking to Abby.
Robert, so much drama, but not the drama you want.
No, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, we try. We just came on a good roll. Germany was good. Belgium was not too bad, but then I got flipped in the second race. So I don't know. It's not my season for some reason. You know, it's a great series, but we seem to struggle. So anyway, next time.
He still manages to smile, so that's good news, Robert. Oh, that's Seville. Seville has spun from second place.
Oh, that's terrible.
For the second time this
Yeah, that's an incredibly high-speed part of the track. That's coming out of Westfield. He's probably put a wheel on the grass and spun back to the inside of the track. That's absolutely terrible for Seville.
Yeah, Marcos Martinez, again, he made a mistake in race 1 and he lost a podium finish when the car ran out of fuel. He'd already lost second place. The mistake cost him 1 place. This has cost him a lot more places, Earl, because he's dropped way down the order as a result of it this time, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's dropped way down the order. He's back with Olympic Lyonnais. He's probably going to end up about 8th place now. So, but Olympic Lyonnais, he could lose another spot. They're really pressuring him right now.
Well, that's changed things around a bit. It means that AS Roma have come up to second place, and Anderlecht, who of course aren't one of the top 6 championship contenders coming into this event, Anderlecht are now up into 3rd. Let's take a look and see what happened here.
Yep, just coming through. Downshifting looks nice.
Oh, and then we lost it. But he did hit that, he took a lot of curb.
No, I don't think it's the curb. I think he would have dropped a wheel on the exit. That's the most likely scenario, and then just having to wait. Very dangerous part of the track. You can't see, so very safe driving there.
So that's a big blow for Seville, and after the joy of getting pole position yesterday, Marcos Martinez's day has rather dropped downhill. He didn't finish the first race after the car ran out of fuel, and now he's thrown away a possible second place. There's the guy they're all chasing, but they're all an awfully long way back. PSV's Naren Carter-Cairn goes through Paddock. He's up at Druids, and I'm still waiting for the next car to cross the line. Now I can tell you is when the next car crosses the line. The gap between this car and second place is 10.6 seconds. It's a massive margin. Anderlecht in 3rd. Flamengo, though, Duncan Tappy with that fastest lap a few laps ago, and he's still going quickly now.
Yeah, no, he's looking very good. He's much quicker than the 3rd place man. couple seconds up the road. Hopefully for Duncan, it'll be brilliant to see him to get another podium position. He really deserves one.
He's had a podium on each of his appearances so far this year. When he was at Silverstone, he had that podium, and then last time out at Zolder. So can he do it again?
Yeah, maybe. And also this battle for second place isn't all over. Look at Anderlecht really closing up on the back of AS Roma here.
And also, let's not forget that there's the chance of getting into a super final if you're doing well in both races. The pit stops. Notice that PSV, as you noticed, did have a pretty slow stop. Maria had a pretty quick stop, which was impressive from her team. Otherwise, much of a muchness in the high 29s. Good at 28.4 from Basel and 29.0 for Beijing. But of course, their day had already been ruined by that broken front wing earlier on. Riding with Julien Jus here. And he's holding on to what is now second place, but he's got Anderlecht not far behind.
Yeah, and hopefully for Julien, he had fuel pressure problems earlier in the day. Hopefully they don't come back to haunt him. He's had it all weekend. He's been very frustrated, but maybe a podium will satisfy him later on today.
Yep, the second race of the day has gone quite well for him on a couple of occasions this year. Still PSV on their way, and there's Narain's crew all watching to see whether he's going to be able to hold on for victory. And Dolby had a go at getting past AC Milan, and he didn't quite make it. AC Milan just reappearing in front. He used his push to pass, but it did not quite come off.
Yeah, no, he's looking very, very honest behind AC Milan. Yelmer Burnham will be feeling the heat, feeling the pressure from Tottenham. Craig Dolby so brilliant at passing. If he's one to overtake, he will be it. Let's go on board, see what happened. Trying to go around the outside.
That's a brave thing to do at Paddock Hill Bend, and Berman defended that cleverly, didn't he?
Yeah, Berman defended it cleverly. He's a wise campaigner. Let's watch here. No room up the inside. Go to the outside. But trying for the switchback, but can't get enough momentum and enough speed.
Yeah, that was Berman's track knowledge coming to the fore there. He knew exactly where to place the car. You cannot leave even the hint of a gap into Paddock Hill Bend, and he didn't. But what was good was he still had good speed through the corner to be able to manage it. Now, AC Milan still have one extra push to pass available. So really, all they've got to do is counter. Every time Tottenham gets on the button, the team's got to tell Yelmer so he can cover it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. These two are still incredibly close, and I don't think this battle's over by any means, with still 17 minutes to run in the race.
This is a psychological battle as much as anything else, because you've got the two that we really do think are going to be battling for the title this year, separated by 1 point in those championship standings, and there's so little between them. And you know, it's a privilege when you get this opportunity in a championship to see the two contenders actually going as close as this. Sometimes you get a whole championship, a close battle in the points, but you don't always see the two guys close together on track.
No, exactly. So it's brilliant to see. This is a really good battle for the championship, and that's what Superleague Formula is all about. Oh, and Christian Gomendi, he was shaking his head before that pit stop, and obviously his problems haven't got any better, and it looks like he's going to retire from the second race.
Yeah, that is disappointing. He joins Corinthians in retirement. We've only lost 2 cars from the race. Of course, we saw Beijing had a problem earlier, but they got back out again. So we've only lost the 2 cars from the race so far. Meanwhile, this is for second place, AS Roma, with the French driver Julien Jus, and right behind the Italian driver Davide Rigon there, who was the champion of Super League when he was driving for Beijing 2 years ago, and he's put in some great performances, winning at Zolder in the super final last time out, and that's twice now that he's won the €100,000 that's on offer for a super final win. And well, if he finishes well in this race, he might be on for getting into the super final here today. It will depend on points scored in both races, of course, and that can be a little tricky to work out until we get a bit closer to the end of the race.
Yeah, no, that's completely right, but this battle's not over. He looks quicker than the AS Roma car. Another great battle at the moment on track is Chris Vanderdrift from Atletico Madrid. Vanderdrift a lot quicker and really putting the pressure on Maria de Villota.
Yes, that's right. Maria's holding on to 6th place, though, at the moment, isn't she? So she's still on for one of her best results. Meanwhile, we've just seen that second retirement. Let's hear from Tristan Gomendi, who's with Abby.
Well, he's just getting his helmet off now. There was frustration, Tristan, before you went into the pit, and there's more frustration now. What happened?
It's the clutch.
As easy as that, it's just the clutch.
Can't pass the gearbox, and the clutch don't work.
Oh, and we've still got a battle for second place in the race. Tristan Gomendi sounding really a great shame. It's a shame when the clutch goes. What happens is it blows up and just free revs and you don't get any gears selected. But this battle for second place is really on right now.
Yeah, Davide Rigon is enjoying the Brands Hatch circuit now, isn't he? Well,
He looks as though he was a little nonplussed by it yesterday and went off at Druids, but today he's really got to grips with it. It's an impressive record that he's got. He's a former Euro Formula
he's got a chance
champion.
here.
And yes, you're right, he's right. He's getting alongside, and this is going to be a drag race now up the backstretch. He's done it. He's got through. He's taken second place.
That's a brilliant move. Put a lot of pressure on AS Roma. They got wide and couldn't get on the throttle, and through comes the Anderlecht car. He's got no more power boost left in this race. AS Roma have still got 2, so it's not all over yet, but that's a brilliant move, and he's past champion in Superleague Formula and shows his knowledge of the cars. And Julien Juste now kicked back to 3rd.
And looks as though Davide Rigon's still got good grip in that car, because the way he's managing to go and stretch that advantage in the fast corners, he's got a lot of grip there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's also finishing off the push to pass. That push to pass lasts for 20 seconds across the lap, so he got the advantage, and look at him streak away now.
Second place for Anderlecht, for Davide Rigon. You know, he could well be on for getting into that super final later on today. Further down the order, interestingly, Tottenham, who were second earlier on today, are in 13th, which is where he finished earlier. So it's going to be interesting in the points. Let's see how he did it again.
Yep, no, AS Roma going quite wide, and then all of a sudden, right on the power boost, right at the right moment, and Anderlecht coming, storming past AS Roma.
I tell you what worries me a little bit. AS Roma had fuel pressure problems earlier. No, it's not that, is it? He just went in a bit wrong.
Yeah, he just went in a bit wrong, and then was offline. Doesn't look quite right, but also Anderlecht was on the power boost. But in saying that, AS Roma are still in the race and on the power boost, re-attacking the Anderlecht car.
Julien Juste isn't going to give it up that easily. Meanwhile, Craig Dolby still tucked in behind AC Milan. He's being chased by Frank Montagny of Bordeaux and Andy Soucek at the back there of Sporting Lisbon. Had the podium earlier, but the reverse grid has made it very tough for these guys to make much progress. Different circuits, you get different results in this reverse grid race, and here at Brands, it has proven to be perhaps even more difficult than most to find a way through, and Dolby has tried everything. He's been throwing himself at getting past the AC Milan car, but so far no luck. Still just under 13 minutes to go, and still plenty of opportunities to use that push to pass for most teams. He's got 3, as you can see from the graphic, but AC Milan still has 4 possibilities to use it.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is a brilliant battle up front. Tottenham was talking to Craig Dolby earlier, asked him about that sore wrist that he had, and he said in these last parts, this last 15 minutes, it really does struggle with that sore wrist. These cars don't have power steering, and as we have a brilliant battle up the front, Olympic Lyonnais right alongside Seville.
Oh, it's side by side, and he nearly got through, but he just couldn't quite do it. Yep. He was on the outside.
And now can Liverpool capitalise on that mistake? He blocks, and now Basil's going to be in the background. We saw a pass onto the back straight before. What's going to happen here?
Basel, as you say, AC Milan and Dolby for Tottenham are all at the back of this group. It's FC Basel with the multicoloured car that's probably the one on the attack here, trying to get past Liverpool, but he's going to have to try something extra special, and he could compromise his own speed there by doing that. Meanwhile, James Walker for Liverpool again looks at a little move. No way to get past somebody into Westfield, so in a way it's almost a waste of time to move over there, but he just wants to try and upset the rhythm of Frank Pereira just ahead.
Yeah, this is a brilliant battle. Look how close it is between these guys, and they're also starting to run out of push to pass.
Meanwhile, there's the Flamengo car.
Yeah, Flamengo's into 3rd place.
He is.
That's brilliant. AS Roma obviously still struggling with that fuel pressure problem, and for Duncan Tappy, Flamengo 3rd place. Brilliant.
He's on for another podium, would you believe it? Duncan Tappy. What a result that would be. Meanwhile, Liverpool and Lyon are absolutely together still. No way past for James Walker. Here comes Dolby trying to get past Jelmer Berman once again. But again, Berman knows where to place the car here at Brands, and there's no way through. Where do we look next? Everywhere you watch, there's some special battle going on.
Yeah, no, race has just ignited all of a sudden between these guys. Absolute brilliant stuff. 10 minutes to play. They're getting tired. The cars are moving around. They've got no grip. They've got nothing left, and still they throw it at each other.
Yeah, that's good. There's Montagny tucked in behind Dolby. Dolby trying to go forwards, but he's got to watch those mirrors as well, because we know Montagny will never give up. He is one of those drivers who's full of clever tricks, knows what to do. Let's take a look at this. It was Flamengo going past AS Roma, and yeah, the Roma car slow in a straight line. I think it is.
Oh, that was a brilliant move by Flamengo. So close to going off. Let's watch on board. We'll get the best view on the house. Oh, that is incredibly brave stuff. See the twitch, and he almost loses it back, but Flamingo Duncan Tappe, that was a really assertive move.
Round the outside of Hawthorns, how about that? And on the dirt, as you could see the greying of the tyre as he lost grip on the dirty part of the track. Fantastic demonstration of what it means to move offline and how difficult it is when you move offline. And somehow Duncan Tappe held it all together, didn't he?
Yeah, you won't see that in many racing series going around the outside there at Hawthorns. Incredibly difficult move.
So let's see what's going on here with just under 10 minutes to go. It's still AC Milan versus Tottenham further down the order. Let's just see what Tottenham's been at. Has he had another go at getting past AC Milan?
Yeah, he's got a brilliant run. He looks to the inside AC Milan block and then down to the outside. No real move going on here. These positions here are very, very important. This here is effectively who gets in the super final. And someone that's been quite quiet today all day is Chris van der Drift. Struggled in the first race, but in this race, again, up into second place. He'll be a man that's looking good for the super final this afternoon and a front row starting position.
Yeah, no, that's right. Well, the super final points prediction telling us that Flamengo will be in. That would be great for Duncan Tappe. Beijing, Tottenham, Anderlecht, AC Milan and PSV would get in. So that's what the top six looks like at the moment, but it could change. That could easily change because look, it's all pretty tight behind as well. So it all depends on what happens in the remaining laps here, but it does look interestingly as though the winner of this race, PSV, Narain Karthikeyan, could get into his first super final. But it looks as though a few might not. Tottenham look as though they will be though, and AC Milan, and of course not only prize money but also a few points available, and that could make all the difference as to who goes away from Brands Hatch leading the championship, even though there's only 6 points on offer for the win there.
Yeah, now look at this battle. AS Roma is still a limping car in a straight line as FC Porto go around the outside, and that car's definitely slow in a straight line, but that's a good move by Porto. And now Chris van der Drift is right on the back of AS Roma, looking up the inside into Westfield. Can he do anything about it?
Couldn't there, but I would think he's going to find a way through pretty quickly. And poor Julien Jus is just dropping down the order. He's now into 5th place, and he's going to lose 5th in a moment to Chris van der Drift, I would think. It's funny how he's slow on that backstretch, but elsewhere the car looks reasonably good.
Yeah, no, it's very, very strange. And Scott Lever, but the fuel pressure pickup problem is always a strange one and only happens in certain parts of the lap. We're going up a very steep hill onto that back straight, so that could be the problem there, as we see van der Drift really attacking the back of that Roma car. He should be sensible here, wait for that back straight that we saw before where the car is slow and wait to attack. As we see Craig Dolby right on the back of AC Milan.
He's having another go, he's going to try and get past his big rival. Can he do it? He goes deep into Paddock Hill Bend, but Yoma Berman holds the inside line. Then he'll cut back to the inside and prevent Dolby going up the inside into the hairpin. And this is so tight between the two championship contenders. But so far it's clean as well, which is a crucial element. He has 2 push-to passes left, whereas AC Milan still has 3 available, and just ahead of them, Max Wissel using...
Oh! What's that?
I don't know quite. It was a shot from the Olympiakos car. We'll try and get another view of that. He's running in...
Oh, that's a huge accident by Chris van der Drift. He's gone over the back of the AS Roma car, and that is incredible. That's got to be a red flag. It looks like he's been in the trees.
So the Olympiakos car in the middle of the track there on the approach to Hawthorns. Cars avoiding the debris, and people still not quite sure. They're still racing, of course. They're still hard at it because there's no yellows out there at the moment. There's a red flag. Red flag has been called. No surprise there. There has been a massive accident on the backstretch here of Chris van der Drift for Olympiakos. So PSV will have taken the victory here, because with only a few minutes remaining in the race, I think that race will be over because we're over 3/4 distance, and I think that PSV have just taken their first win in Superleague Formula. Well, first win for Narain Karthikeyan, not the first win for the team, but Narain Karthikeyan taking his first win in Superleague, but you never want to do it under red flag.
Yeah, but here we go. All the cars are coming back to the pits. Our thoughts go with Chris van der Drift. Let's hope he's okay. That is a huge accident we see in the back straight, and here's Narain Karthikeyan looking like he might stop there for Chris van der Drift, but no.
Yeah, he's just picking his way past the debris. Huge amount of debris there on the backstretch, and all the cars have made it straight back into pit lane, and obviously we'll try and find out as soon as we know anything about Chris. But that did look like a very, very frightening accident, looking at the state of the car that we saw. And so we'll have to wait and see and give you any reports as soon as we can, obviously. PSV car still heading around the circuit, but it does look as though the victory will have gone to Narain Karthikeyan. Anderlecht will have taken second place and Flamengo third. Not that everybody will be really thinking about results at this stage, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Of course, there should be another race still to go here, which is the super final. But let's just wait and see, Earl, and what the plan is and what's going on here.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's all important, the safety around here. Hopefully these guys are okay. They're all back into the pits. We see James Walker there with his trainer. This is the man that won the first race. A brilliant job, but not his luck going his way. He hasn't had a great season with luck.
No, that's right. And John Martin here, who was the winner earlier in that first race. But with that broken front wing in the early stages of this one, there wasn't an awful lot he was going to be able to do about it. So he's come home in this red flagged race as the last finisher. Effectively, they're down in 16th position. So, but as we say, we've got to wait and see what happens. Just to confirm that as the results, as they crossed the line last time around, there is Narain Karthikeyan. He's brought the car into Parc Fermé, so certainly the assumption made that the race has been run, and that nothing, of course, he could do about what's gone on out there. He has taken his first ever win in Super League, and amazingly, he has maintained this record of winning in anything he's ever driven here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible record that Narain Karthikeyan's got around Brands Hatch. Just something going around this circuit that always clicks for him.
Yeah, he just loves the place. He always goes well here. And when you consider he's combining this with this NASCAR program that he's doing, he's flown back over from the States to race here this weekend, dealing with a bit of jet lag as well as dealing with a very, very different type of car, then you've got to say that he's done really, really well here today, and dominant, absolutely dominant in that race. He was never even in any kind of danger. Despite a slow pit stop, he had one of the slowest pit stops of the race, and yet he was never under any kind of threat. Second place for Davide Rigon, and there he is, the man who finished won the super final last time out, and very much a contender. Remember, Anderlecht still in the championship table. This should put him through to another super final, I think. And the other great story from podium point of view is the guy getting out of his car just next door. That's Duncan Tappy, who, as I say, he's a bit of a super sub, but he was on the podium at Silverstone with the third place in the first race. He then didn't race for a while, joined us again at Zolder last time out when he finished second in race 2, and he's come home with another podium here. So let's go and get some reaction. Abby is with Narain Karthikeyan.
Narain, I'm sure it wasn't the way that you wanted to take this win, but it's still a win, and it's your first one of the season.
Yeah, Brands Hatch, we normally go well here, and the car was working well. Just beginning of the week, we never expected to win. We missed the first session almost, and we had problems all weekend. But yeah, I'm happy to win in Super League, and hopefully some more to come in the year. I just hope, I think it was a number 8 car who had an accident, and I hope he's okay.
Yeah. And now what will this mean for you? I'm sure that their confidence has come back. You have got a brand new team, like we said, right at the top of the programme. So could this be a better second half of the season?
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, anyways.
Okay, well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. So I know you're going to rush around and try and find a couple of the other guys who are down there. We're going to have a quick look at the result first before we speak to the other guys. Let's just check that result then. Under red flag, the race finished. PSV taking the win from Anderlecht in second place, and that superb podium for Duncan Tappy for Flamengo. Alvaro Parent finished in fourth place, AS Roma in fifth, and Olympiacos classified sixth because we've gone back a lap under red flag conditions. That is pretty standard. Atletico Madrid seventh for Maria de Vallota. 8th place for Seville's Marcos Martinez. Lyon finished 9th, and Liverpool's James Walker another 10th place. I think he was 10th in the first race today as well, wasn't he? FC Basel finished in 11th place ahead of AC Milan, who did stay ahead despite Craig Dolby's best efforts to get past. Bordeaux finished 14th ahead of Andy Soucek's sporting car in 15th place. Beijing struggled with that broken wing at the start, 16th, and then non-finishers Galatasaray and Corinthians. So Abby has now caught up with the second place finisher, Davide Rigon.
Davide, you've had a mixed weekend. Some great luck now coming in second, but the first half of the weekend didn't go your way.
Yes, because after free practice, after the crash, we had a problem in the qualifying. So just in the second race we fixed the car. I don't know, the mechanic was no time to fix. But now it was okay, it was very fast, the car. Fortunately, just now it was a little bit late. But we was very fast during the race. Fortunately, it's very difficult here to overtake. When I overtake Roma, I was much faster than him. And then it was fantastic. So now we think to Chris Van der Diep is everything okay. I see the crash. The car is very, very bad. I hope for him.
Yeah, we all do. And the mood definitely has changed slightly around here, and it's great that all of you guys have concern for him. But when we go back to you, you are still really on for that championship title, aren't you?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yesterday was very bad, my qualifying, but for sure we push for win the championship until last race. We have a good team, everybody are pushing for that. Somebody, they make a mistake, but everybody do a mistake here. So we will push her to the end, we will see.
Well done. And Duncan Tappy, he's just behind me. Duncan, let's get this right. We've had 3 outings and we've got 3 podiums.
Yeah, I think you got that right. I had to work hard for that one though, and you know, I needed to get in the super final, and the 3rd place was the target, and as you could see, it meant a lot to me, and I just wanted it so bad. I just did some really risky moves, but luckily they all came off.
There was a very risky move, but it served you well. You overtook Roma, and there was a moment where it looked like you might not stay on the track.
Yeah, I thought that too. I thought, oh God, I've done it again. Like race 1, I ran wide as well, and lucky, you know, managed to keep my head, and you know, once we got in front, that was it. We had a pace to pull away. So finally, we got on top of the car this weekend, so it's good.
Great for the British fans. We spoke yesterday. You said that you could do it for all these English supporters you have.
Yeah, you know, Craig this morning, and now me on the podium. So I think we're both in the super final, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how long that'll be until we get out and do Great Britain proud.
Well done.
So well done to Duncan Tappy, English driver for a Brazilian club, of course, and delighted with yet another podium finish.
Yeah, I think he should be really delighted. Whenever Duncan comes along, he's always under pressure. He's really a fill-in, and I think when you're coming in and knowing you've got to get good results, it's fantastic to see a guy like that come in, fill in, and get podiums. It's brilliant to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the presentations are being prepared for the top 3 from this 2nd race of the day, and there's the 3rd place trophy for Duncan Tappy, as we say. That's a big relief for him. He's hoping that he'll get another chance to stay in the car, but he doesn't know yet. So a result like that's got to hopefully encourage people to put him back in. Davide Rigon, who has dug himself out of what was a difficult start to the weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah, we never would have thought he'd finish 2nd. It's a very good effort. Davide's an experienced campaigner, but this man, the man of the moment.
Yeah, Narain Carter came. What a great job done by him. From pole position, he just stormed away into the lead and was never under any kind of threat at all. Had great pace. He had a couple of good sets of tyres to use, and he made the absolute most of them. And he was driving around a 0.6 of a mile oval last weekend, he was telling me, in a NASCAR pickup truck where there's something like 36 cars or something, all bumper to bumper. Slightly different to a Super League car.
Yeah, very slightly different, but we do have the Indy circuit around this Brands Hatch track, and I think he really enjoyed it. You could tell he really wanted to win, and every single lap was down to precision, and he just did a fantastic job. To win by over 12 seconds in a Superleague Formula race is a job well done.
So he is our 11th different winner this season. That's a pretty impressive statistic as well as we go through the course of the rest of the year. Still plenty more races to come. So 11 different winners in Superleague Formula. Let's take a little look back over the highlights of that race. So the start was a little bit messy, but PSV certainly made sure of it because Narain Carter was checking out from the start, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he checked out, and here we go. Wing failure for John Martin, going off into the gravel, and Tottenham making it through. Look how close this could have been. Championship leader in the gravel.
Yeah, could easily have been. And the battle between AC Milan and Tottenham sort of continued throughout the race, didn't it?
Yep, continued. And then here, this mistake from Seville, just getting a little bit wide, and this really cost him. He was in 2nd place at the time.
Yeah, so that hurt Marcos Martinez. PSV were well up. Dolby was still throwing everything at trying to get past Jelmer Berman, one way, then the other, but Berman always had an answer. He always had the good defensive line.
Yeah, no, he couldn't do anything about it. And then here we go, Anderlecht into 2nd place. This was the move around the outside of AS Roma down the back straight.
But it was clear that Roma was struggling, and then we saw an accident for Chris van der Drift, and we're hoping he's okay. Narain Carter Kane taking the victory then ahead of Anderlecht and Flamengo. So let's just see how the points went after 2 races then. So the top 6 here are the guys who've made it into the super final. So that's Flamengo. Actually, the top scorer of the day is Duncan Tappy. That's a real surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a huge credit to Duncan Tappy. And then we've got 3 drivers tied on points on 57.
Yeah, Beijing, Tottenham and Anderlecht all in, but Milan are not. Now that's really interesting. AC Milan are not, but remember, if a car can't get into the super final, then the first reserve does go in. And that means we would assume Olympiacos are not going to be in the super final after a huge accident out there. It's just, we're hoping that Chris is okay. We will report as soon as we know, of course, any news on that. But AC Milan could still get a chance to get into that super final.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's very, very important for the championship.
Further down the list, not scoring quite so well today, the likes of Liverpool, Lyon, Roma are out of luck, and it did look as though they had some sort of fuel pressure problem. He was definitely struggling, and you have to wonder if that did contribute to whatever happened out there on the backstretch, which we didn't see. But he was definitely finding it hard on that backstretch. He seemed fast everywhere else, and he was just hoping he could get to the end. Let's go down to Abby, who is now with the AS Roma driver, Julien Jus.
Julian, it was a horrendous looking accident. You were involved somehow. What's your take on it? What did you see?
I was not very quick at this part of the race. My tire was destroyed, and Porto and Regano already overtook me, and I saw Van der Drift behind me. Exit of the corner, the left in uphill before the big straight line. I saw him behind me, and I stay on the right. He pushed to pass and hit my rear right wheel. So I don't know, he was so much quicker than me, and I didn't move. I stay on the right, and maybe not enough space wasn't on the right, but he had a massive crash. I hope everything is okay. I hope he's okay.
And how are you yourself? How are you feeling about being caught up in that?
Oh, yeah, you know, when you're involved in a crash, you're always feeling very bad. So I wait and see. I hope he's okay, and it's just a crash.
We hope he's okay too. Thank you.
And you've got to feel for Julien, because he was just, as he says, staying on the right-hand side, and it was sort of, we saw him struggling on that. He was keeping out of people's way though. He was staying on the right, but for the drive behind, it's ever so easy to miscalculate. We've seen it in Formula 1 where Mark Webber just miscalculated by a fraction, and it's just millimeters that make the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it does, and we could see Chris van der Drift for Olympiacos on the push to pass, and also we've got to take into account AS Roma did have fuel pressure problems. When you have full fuel pressure problems, the power gets cut and it gets surgy, the speed. So he could be going along, you calculate, and then all of a sudden the car cuts. He's still got his foot flat, but it surges, and then you get a huge speed difference, and that's where you get the launch effect. And the way it does is the rear wheels are going forwards, his wheels are going forward, they get up together, and then as soon as the car's up in the air, it takes off like an aeroplane. The wings for the race cars work opposite, and then you're in for a huge ride. And let's really hope that Chris van der Drift is okay. Our thoughts go out to him.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we are. We've got the fans doing their own entertainment at the moment as we wait to see what the news is, and obviously for everything that's going on to try and sort out the accident and look after Chris after that big crash. But the team's also wondering what's going to happen in terms of getting ready for the super final, and see what happens there. We'll take a look at the championship standings and see what effect this other race has had on it. AC Milan, look at that, as we thought, 1 point ahead. They've gone back ahead 1 point. Tottenham on 459. Anderlecht close on 422 points. Olympiacos there in 4th place, ahead of FC Basel, and then Flamengo in 6th. AS Roma in 7th, then Porto, Sporting Lisbon and Bordeaux up in that top 10. And then some of those just outside. Again, it's still Liverpool and Galatasaray knocking on the door. Beijing have moved up a fraction from where they were, and they're sort of more in the hunt to get into the top 10. But that second race didn't really do them many favours with that broken front wing going into the second corner up at Druid. Seville down in 16th. That could have been so much better for them, having started from pole position. Let's take a little look back over some of the events of the weekend so far. We've seen lots of action on this Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, and of course it all started officially in qualifying. We saw the draw. We have this unique system of qualifying where it follows the Champions League, and they draw to be in either Group A or Group B, and then they go out in those respective groups. The top 4 from Group A were Beijing, Seville and Sporting Lisbon, with Bordeaux as well. Just missing out, though, one of them was Anderlecht. After his problems in the morning, he didn't make it through to the quarter-finals. In Group B, we saw going through Tottenham, Olympiacos, AC Milan and AS Roma. And again, just missing out on this occasion was FC Basel, not getting into the quarter-finals, nor did Narain Carter-Cahen, funnily enough. Judging what's happened today, it didn't seem to do him too much harm. The first quarter-final, where 2 cars go out against each other, saw Tottenham take a fairly easy win, to be honest, against Bordeaux, and Craig Dolby really looked to be on fire. AS Roma and Beijing were next out, but AS Roma had this problem, and Julien Jousse had to pull over to the side of the track, making it an easy victory for John Martin. The next head-to-head was between Olympiacos and Sporting Lisbon, and it's all about who gets to the line first. On this occasion, it was Sporting Lisbon, Andy Souček. And AC Milan and Seville went up together in the final quarter. AC Milan pushed so hard, they went off. Jelmer Berman had this trip through the gravel trap, and surprisingly, therefore, it was Seville that went through to the semi-finals. We were then down to 2 pairs of 2. The first one saw Tottenham and Seville go up against each other. Everybody expected Tottenham to do it, but surprise, surprise, it was Marcos Martinez in his first visit to Brands Hatch who managed to sneak through into the final. The second semi saw Sporting Lisbon go up against Beijing. John Martin looked very, very strong throughout the qualifying, and although it was tight between the 2 of them and neither of them made any key mistakes, it was Beijing just about with a 1:13.8, which put them through into the final versus Andy Souček's 1:14.1. So into the final then, it was John Martin for Beijing and Marcos Martinez of Seville. And it was a close battle throughout. The mistake made by Beijing's John Martin into that corner, the left-hander at Surtees, that lost him some 0.4 of a second. And as they came through, it was in fact pole position for Seville. Marcos Martinez's first ever pole in Superleague Formula. So that was yesterday, Earl. It was pretty exciting stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant stuff and so unpredictable. Me and you in the commentary box, we couldn't even pick one of the quarterfinal or semi-final winners, but a fantastic job for Seville. Unfortunately for him today, it really wasn't his day. Couldn't convert that pole position into a podium in a top 3 starting spot in the first race. And the second race, having a spin, couldn't convert it a second time. Great shame for Seville.
Let's get down to the pits. Abby is with Craig Dolby.
Craig, it's so close between you and Jelmer. Normally the super final, it's all about money, but this time it could be about points.
Yeah, I mean, every point makes prizes, so we'll just go and race, and that's that, you know. I just hope Chris is all right. It's a massive shunt. We damaged the car going through the debris, so I hope my car's all right for this this shootout, so we'll see. But obviously I hope Chris is all right mainly, and yeah, we'll go and have a good race.
How do you deal with that, Craig, when you're fighting for the top of the championship?
So, do you know, I'm a racing driver. We know the risks, and that's what we have fun doing.
Thank you.
Craig keeping very focused at the moment, isn't he? And in a way, he's right. You've got to, as a racing driver, you cannot afford to let your focus drop, can you?
No, you can't let your focus drop. You've got to be sharp and on the ball all the time, and you've got to be very, very heartless as a driver out there. You're out there racing for yourself. You've got no teammates except for a little bit in Formula 1. But you're really racing for yourself. If somebody goes off, then you know it's. But all the drivers are really condoling when they see an accident like that, because they know how easily it could have been them. But when they're out in that heat of the moment, and you see Craig Dolby kitting up right now, he could be right out there again.
Let's go to his big rival in the championship, Jelmer Berman. He's talking to Abby.
Jelmer, it couldn't be tougher at the top of the championship table.
Sorry, I couldn't do you.
No, we're just saying how close it is between you and Craig, and in race 2, still there. It's going to be the same in super final, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a bit quicker in the second race. My pit stop was not so good. Someone struggled a bit. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's a shame because we lost a couple of positions, and it makes a difference, obviously, in the points.
So how will you play the super final? Are you going out there to be really aggressive and to get the money and to get the points, or is it about being consistent and just making sure you finish and look after yourself and the car?
On this track, it's all about the start, and just at the start it has to happen, and I don't expect too much change after that. So just going to go for a good start and see where we end up.
So let's take a little look back at what happened in race 1 earlier on this morning. Early start for everybody, an 11 o'clock race 1 for the first 45-minute encounter. And as they all went into the first corner, Seville on pole position initially seemed to have the start, but John Martin just squeezed and got himself down the inside. This was how he did it, Earl. It was an impressive move.
Yeah, it was a textbook move. He was started on the outside, did a switchback and got Martinez. And here we go, Narain. Narain Kartikeyan into the gravel trap. Huge shame for him. He's an expert around here. And Liverpool, the man on a charge, the only one making moves in this race.
Yeah, he was very effective, wasn't he? At a paddock hill bend, he made a move, and then a little bit further round, a couple of laps later, he got past Corinthians, but Robert Dornbos was struggling.
Yeah, Robert Dornbos has struggled all day with car problems. Great shame. And here we go, AS Roma going past and FC Basel going through.
Yeah, that was a big trip into the gravel for Julian, and he wasn't the only one. Here was Marcus Martinez doing the same thing, but it had more effect because Tottenham took second.
Yeah, and took the championship lead in that move, so very, very important move, but Seville would go out later on, and this man, John Martin, was the winner.
Yeah, that was the moment as he crossed the line and punched the air. John Martin took his second win of the season. He'd won at Harama earlier on this year, but he loves Brands Hatch, and it was clear he was enjoying the moment. So it was delightful to see John win earlier, wasn't it? It really was.
Yeah, I've spoken to John over the last 2 race meetings, and he's been really down in the dumps, just wanted some luck to go his way. And then this morning, everything came together. Flawless pit stop, fastest lap, couldn't do anything wrong. And then this afternoon, it all came to blows again. So he must have woken up on the right side of the bed this morning.
Well, let's get some more reaction from a guy who finished on that podium in the first race. That was Andy Soucek. He's with Abby.
Andy, you had such a great race 1, and it's such a brilliant return to Super League. How did race 2 go for you?
Very, very difficult. I never thought that the reverse grid would be so tough. Obviously here at Brands, I think it makes more sense to finish on a 7th and an 8th place, rather in the middle of the field, rather than doing a very good result race 1, because then in race 2 it's impossible to overtake. But that's life, you know, and sometimes you try to do your best and you cannot overtake, and it's frustrating, and that's what happened. I was quicker than Montagny, I was quicker than Dolby, I was quicker than Yelmer, but it was nothing really to do. They got better exits out of the corner, nothing really to do. So it's a shame I'm not in the super final, but at least I'm taking my trophy back home.
Now, you've had, like I said, such a great round 2. What can you go on to achieve for the rest of the season, do you think?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to finish the race of the season. You know, these races for me are good training. Obviously, I'm always looking forward to do good results, and therefore I try to do the best out of it. But if I do more races, I'm looking forward to win 1 race at least, be in the super final, win a bit of money.
Yeah, thank you.
So Andy Soucek enjoying his time in Super League, despite the frustration of that second race and of not making it through into the super final, where the money gets paid out, of course. So it's pretty important to all these guys to try and get in that super final.
Yeah, no, it is very, very important, and also very important for the teams and for the 2 guys at the top of the championship. Those crucial little bit of points in the super final, 1 point between them. The super final will make the difference at the end of the season, possibly.
David Arrigon's in his car as he's thinking, well, it's good to be ready for the super final. The top 6 cars, of course, going out in the super final. Top 6 points scorers. Just to update you, of course, we have seen a horrendous accident for Chris van der Drift of the Olympiakos team, and that's what's causing the delay now. It's why no cars are on track, as that incident is dealt with. We don't have any news, I'm afraid, yet in terms of Chris's condition, but we will, as soon as we know anything, we will let you know, and we'll try and find out what's happening. But the other teams do have to get on with their preparations. There's Duncan Tappy, who has emerged as top point scorer of the 2 races, and a little bit like Andy Soucek said, it has worked out that if you had 2 sort of middling good results, you've ended up on top.
Yeah, well, we never would have predicted Flamingo and Duncan Tappy. He's a brilliant driver, but when you finish about 7th or 8th in the first race, you don't expect someone like that to be at the front. But he did a fantastic reverse grid race, passing a lot of cars, and now it's pole position. I'm really happy for Duncan. He's a great driver and really, really deserves to be up there.
Yeah, he finished in 9th place in race 1, but he started back on the 5th row of the grid to come through and finish 3rd in this second race. Really was quite something, and although we didn't see an awful lot of it, we did see 1 or 2 moves. Very impressive. There's FC Porto, Alvaro Parent, who's just made it in as well, despite not really shining this weekend at Brands, a circuit he knows well. But despite that, he's come through. In the first race, he was only 11th, so he sort of just did enough in the second race to make it in to the super final.
Yeah, it just shows that consistency pays off in this format. You can't just win the first race, you've actually got to go well in the second race as well. So you see John Martin as well, he's going to be in this super final. A great job for him. Yep. And we best like with 3 drivers equal on points, I'm going to be very interested to see who starts up front.
And it was very important from John Martin's point of view that he finished the race, that second race, despite the wing damage, because it means you still score points. If you're a non-finisher, then you don't get any points.
Yeah. And
let's just go down to Abby. She's got some news on Chris van der Drift, who was involved in that accident.
Yeah, I've spoken to Gunther, who looks after Chris van der Drift. He's obviously very affected by the situation, doesn't actually want to come on camera because he is quite shocked and upset. But we have got reports that he is conscious He's just suffering from a broken leg at the moment, a broken knee. And as soon as we've got any more reports, then we will obviously let you know.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Well, I mean, it's good to hear that that he's conscious, but obviously don't want to hear that he's got any injuries. But there is the sort of clear-up operation. Of course, it reminds me so much of Johnny Herbert's accident on that very same straight back in 1988, and you know, he broke his feet, and of course he went on to have a tremendous Grand Prix career, and despite the accident, and a fantastic driver, a great guy to work with too. But it does, I have to say, take me right back to that day. I was here at Brands Hatch that day when Johnny had his accident, and obviously Chris has had in some ways, a similarly frightening accident. But to hear that he's conscious, that is good news.
Yeah, no, that's great news, and it's a true testament to how safe these cars are.
So to know that he's conscious, we are going to take a look at this accident, Earl, and just see, you know, what happened. We know sort of roughly what happened. He ran into the back of the car ahead, but let's just see it at real time here. And in fact, that's interesting. Oh, it was a miscommunication effectively, because AS Roma was moving to the right to let him pass on the left.
Yeah, and here we go.
Oh,
and that's a terrible, terrible accident.
A massive accident, absolutely huge. The car splitting in half, which is what it's designed to do. The engine and gearbox splitting away from the monocoque. The monocoque, of course, that surrounds the driver, this carbon fibre monocoque, is immensely, immensely strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's immensely, immensely strong, and that's what they're designed to do these days, is split apart, absorb the energy and take it away from the driver, and that's why they can get away safely these days. And he was incredibly lucky not to hit that overbridge, coming very, very close to it, but it's great to see that he's conscious.
And we gather the monocoque was still intact from that accident, so that's the crucial point. And car safety has just moved on so much over recent years. But when you see an accident like that, that sort of takeoff, I mean, that's one of the fastest sections. They weren't at quite full speed on that straight, but they must have been nearly at full speed.
Yeah, they would have been in 6th gear. They're a good two. We saw on the telemetry there, he had his fastest speed, 225k, so he went into the air at 225k, so that is a horrific accident for Chris Vanderdrift.
Yeah, a massive accident, as you say, but we are gathering he's conscious. May well have a broken leg, but if we know any more, then we will let you know. There is the monocoque of the car, the sort of driver survival cell, and although the roll hoop and everything's taken a hit, it's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not the best sight to see, but it's amazing that he could get out of that, and a true testament to these tubs. They are built very, very strong, very, very sturdy cars, and also we've got the harness device that the drivers wear these days, which is a device that goes over the top of your shoulders, clips to your helmet, and then stops your neck moving too much in a situation like that.
So we are getting ready now for the super final at Brands Hatch. The 6 cars that have made it through on points from the previous 2 races are sitting in pit lane preparing for their opportunity to come out on circuit, and they'll be lined up in grid order down there in pit lane and released when it is deemed to be safe to do so. The clear-up operation still continuing, and the car that is into that top 6, although didn't score enough points, and it's a sort of an irony almost, but Jelmer Berman for AC Milan, he's actually the 7th highest point scorer, but because Olympiakos can't obviously be out there with Chris's injuries, he has got into the super final. I mean, it has huge knock-on effects in the championship.
Yeah, no, it does, because he's got the opportunity to score points. So I'd say Jelmer Berman is a very, very lucky man today to be in the super final.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have certainly asked for that way of getting in, but you know, that's the rules, and he's there on merit, so he's got to focus on that. Davide Rigon won last time out. He's won 2 super finals already this year, hasn't he? So he knows how to do this. Jelmer Berman, he's had a super final victory as well at Manicourt. That was an impressive performance from him. Interestingly, this is the first super of the year that we haven't got Max Wissel in for FC Basel.
Yeah, no, Max is missing out for the first time, but still an incredible job that he's got in there. And as we see Craig Dolby referring to that damage, it was obviously huge damage across the track, breaking his front wing as he went through.
Yeah, and interestingly, he won at Silverstone the super final, didn't he? So he's had a super final win on home turf already this year.
Yeah, and interestingly, the other key thing to remember through here is that now we go to a standing start. And if anyone knows Brands Hatch, it's incredibly difficult to do a standing start. It's on an angle and also downhill, and sometimes pole position isn't the best place because you're in the hollow. You don't have the downhill advantage.
Yeah.
So the man second or third is going to be the man.
Well, let's take a look at the grid, Earl, and let's see who is up there. We know that Flamengo's on pole position. It's Duncan Tappy, so he's got the little bit of difficulty to deal with there. And it's John Martin. Now, that is interesting on the outside because he took the lead starting on the outside. Then Craig Dolby for Tottenham. Then Davide Rigon of Anderlecht. I tell you what, that's going to be an amazing top three into the first corner. It might be Davide Rigon who emerges ahead because I could easily see Duncan, John and Craig getting tangled up. And Alvaro Parent and Yelmer Berman are back on the third row, and if they've got any sense, they might just try and stay out of trouble in the first corner.
Yeah, and I imagine it'll be pretty interesting for Duncan Tappy. One of the first times on the front row, starting these cars at the standing start. They always do rolling starts, but when you get into the super final, you got to think, how am I going to do a standing start?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So the guys who've done more super finals out there today, this year, obviously at an advantage. And I suppose Yelmer Berman, I mean, he's done more super finals than several others. Anything can happen in super final, and anything really can happen, as we've seen in the past here in Superleague Formula. Anything can happen.
Yeah, off the line was really good, and it went down the inside, and the guys went straight on, and I thought, oh wow, I stopped at the time and turned the corner, and I just got Milan on the exit of the corner. Really good traction, and that was it, really.
It's all about bringing everything to a conclusion, because what we find in nearly all motor racing, traditionally, once it's over, it's over. You have this tremendous build-up, and then it's finished.
Big pressure. We just finished the second race. Everybody is quite tired, and we have to restart.
Just 5 laps, always doing push to pass most as possible, and to fight for money. That's brilliant.
This season, introducing the points in the super final, it's only 6 points, but you never know, that 6 points at the end of the season might be crucial for the championship.
€100,000 goes to Olympiakos and Chris van der Drift. He comes across the line. A great win here at Marama.
Well, Craig Dolby might have realised just how close things were going to get with that quote, because indeed the 6 points in the super final could be absolutely crucial this weekend to see who emerges from Brands Hatch as championship leaders. Will it be AC Milan or will it be Tottenham Hotspur? Very, very tight. The track has been cleared now after that horrendous accident for Chris van der Drift, and he'll be being looked after by the tremendous medical crew here at Brands. And obviously our thoughts are very much with him, and hope that he is able to get a swift recovery and that his injuries are not too serious. It was great to hear that he was conscious, but obviously a broken leg is going to put him out of action for a while, and he's been so strong in this series up to date. So we reckon we've got about 5 minutes to go. Duncan Tappy, there he is, the guy starting from pole. As you say, very inexperienced in Super League Formula Super Finals, because this is his first one, I think. But down in the pits, let's catch up with a couple more drivers, one or two who haven't made it into the Super Final. Abby is with Frank Pereira.
After a few weeks away, and you're driving for a completely new team, what's the experience been like so far?
Very difficult. They were so far with the setup and with a lot of things, you know, on the car. I think they have very difficult experience with Sébastien Bourdais, and so it was a new track for me, also for them. So it was very difficult on Saturday for qualifying and practice. We were very far, you know, and but finally we worked well yesterday night, and today on the race one we were pretty good. We had a good race. I mean, we finished just 12, but the lap time were like top 6. I was the 6th fastest in the race, so it's good. You know, guys are happy that we are improving, and unfortunately on race 2 it was a lot of accident, and we were not very lucky, and we tried more things on the car, but it was a little bit worse than race 1. But I think we are improving, so that's a good thing for next race.
So Frank Pereira, who has been driving for Flamengo this year, of course. He got a good second place finish at Assen when he was driving for Flamengo, but it's now Duncan Tappy who's driving for them. There's Davide Rigon for Anderlecht. He is certainly going to be one to watch, I think, because he's used to winning a couple of these things so far.
Yeah, he was our winner last time out of the Super Final, so we could really expect him to go well in the Super Final, and you can't back him out. He came from 3rd last time, so and he's got a new set of tyres there, so that is very, very important. He saved a set last time out, and now he's got this set again.
Yeah, and that could be the difference, couldn't it? Because it was so important to get off the line well, and if you've got a new set of tyres, you've got much more chance of doing that. Looks like Beijing's also got a new set of tyres, as out onto the track comes Duncan Tappy for Flamengo. He will start from pole. Well, what an opportunity this is. 100,000 euros are on offer to the winner of this race, and Duncan Tappy finds himself on pole position for it.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. He doesn't have a new set of tyres, so is that going to affect him? We have a very, very small hold on the grid as we see AC Milan coming out of the pits as well. Most of the front runners have got new tyres.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Porto, I'm not sure about. AC Milan, they don't look brand new either. So, but it still might be a good set. We'll have to wait and see how they go in the race. But as you say, John Martin could be the danger man with the new tyres on the outside of the front row. There's the grid just confirming that grid lineup. It's Tappy on pole for Flamengo, John Martin on the outside of the front row, Craig Dolby from third for Tottenham. He is, well, he's not always got off the line well on the standing starts, Craig. He took that win at Silverstone earlier on this year, but he sort of fought his way through, and there were mistakes from one or two others in tricky conditions. But he hasn't always got off the line well. And then at Harama, of course, he had a brake problem and ended up in the gravel trap at the first corner.
Yeah, no, exactly. So there's a lot of pressure on right now between these guys, and yeah, I can't wait. And look at that smoke. That's going to be a very, very big problem going down the first lap. They're going to get this huge plume of smoke. For the leader, it's fine, but the man in second and third place, that'll be quite difficult.
That's the that's the absorbent material they put down. Used to be cement dust, but something different nowadays to absorb the oil down from the accident, and that, as you say, kicks up an awful lot of dust as they will go across it for the first time. With only 6 cars in the race, of course, normally you'd have a full grid of cars that would clear it up a little more quickly.
Yeah, no, exactly. It'd be cleared up really quick when you go 18, but we've only got 6 because that is the super final. It's the race for 100,000 euros in the dash for cash.
Yeah, and we're getting ready for that, because as they come around, although they will stop on the grid for the standing start, it is a very, very quick turnaround. They do not sit on the grid for very long at all. We are going to be seeing them racing in just a few moments' time here. So AC Milan, the last of the 6 to bring up the rear in this chase for the cash. The big check on offer. Is Davide Rigon going to win a super final for the 3rd time this season? Is John Martin going to win a super final? He won one when he was driving for Rangers last year, but he's yet to win one for Beijing. Into position they all go. Are you ready? The super final here at Brands Hatch is about to get underway. Lights out, away we go, and Flamengo, it's Beijing! Beijing, John Martin makes a storming getaway. It's Beijing in front, Flamengo dropping to 3rd, to 4th, as Dolby tries to go around the inside of him. He's got 3rd back, Duncan Tappy, and Dolby's back to 4th, but he's under pressure here, all the way from David Rigon, who's off. Oh no, it's Barrett off, Porto off into the gravel trap, and he gets back on again.
And look who makes it through on Tottenham. It's AC Milan. The man that's now leading the championship again has got past his main rival.
Oh, that's crucial. Crucial as Jelmer Berman gets past Craig Dolby, and he's got another point on top of him. So Dolby and Porto sort of tangling up there at the hairpin. Look at Beijing. John Martin out in front. This is what he did in race 1, and he's doing it in the super final as well.
Yeah, it's great to see John Martin. He really struggled, unlucky with that wing braking, and now he's right on form again as we see Craig Dolby at the back there, but look at this man streaking out in front.
Anderlecht running in second, so Davide Rigon still on for getting some good prize money, but not that 100,000 euro prize that they all want. Look at Dolby, he's catching the back of AC Milan, he's fired up, he wants to get past his big championship rival. Every point counts, and he's going to go for it.
Yeah, no, he's really going for it. He doesn't want to finish back here. He wants a prize. Oh, he's off the track.
He's run into the gravel, he just recovers, gets it back on again. That's how hard he's trying.
Yeah, no, pushing too hard. The car doesn't look well balanced as we've got a car at the back there. That's Alvaro Parent.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit, but Tottenham there, Craig Dolby losing the chance to perhaps mount an attack on AC Milan, and Jelmer Berman will look in his mirrors and think, oh, that's nice, got a bit of relief for a moment at least. Beijing leads this race. John Martin looking so strong. 2nd place for Davide Rigon of Anderlecht. 3rd for Flamengo's Duncan Tappy, who did not get off the line well and really had to fight to get back into 3rd place. There's Dolby, the dust still being cleared off his cars, and they go up the back stretch on board with AC Milan, and if things stay as they are, AC Milan will have a 2-point advantage in the championship.
Yeah, that's fantastic for AC Milan. Good move at the start, picked up all the pieces, but John Martin's the man out in front, and look who, the man we thought had so many problems at the beginning, Anderlecht in 2nd place now, AC Milan championship leaders.
Yeah, that's right. AC Milan, they're running in 4th place. Flamengo still on for the podium here in the super final, and Duncan Tappy would take that, I'm sure. He would love to have taken the victory from pole in this race, but he did have an older set of tyres. We saw that. It was always going to be hard for him. And did you see, it was exactly what you said, the wheel spin, and the car just didn't move. It got stuck in that dip, didn't it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And you saw the way John Martin lined up his car. John Martin's raced here a lot. He knows how to line it up. He knows what he's doing. Oh, and Craig Dolby, very wild man in the car right now, going off left, right and centre.
It's got a different nose cone front wing on there. You wonder if it's all been set up to exactly where it was before the damage was done. That was running over debris from Chris van der Drift's accident, and it may just be the car's not handling as well.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. The wings can sometimes vary a little bit, wing to wing, and you've got your specific setting. They've obviously tried to set it up as close as they can, but not quite in the groove there for Craig Dolby.
Yeah, well, up front, it's Beijing who have got the advantage, 1.5 seconds. It's a short race, this one, remember, only 5 laps, and we're already on lap 3 out of 5, on board with Dolby. Let's see if we can pick up any of these sort of issues that he's having here.
Yeah, it looks like it's oversteering quite a bit on the entry, quite twitchy, so it means it's hard to control for him coming through here. Yeah, it's just very twitchy, very loose in the rear end.
Remember, he's still carrying that wrist injury as well, and you've got to think by the end of 2 45-minute races and a couple of trips into the gravel, that wrist has got to be hurting.
Yeah, no, exactly, that's right. As John Martin sets in, and Anderlecht set the fastest lap so far, but still 1.5 second gap to the leader, Beijing.
Yeah, but I don't think that even with a fractionally faster lap there by Davide Rigon, that he's going to have much chance of catching John Martin unless John Martin makes a mistake. You're on board with the second place car that has just set that fastest lap. But John Martin, who made a mistake in qualifying at this next corner, well, I think that will be very fresh in his memory, don't you?
Yeah, no, it definitely will be. It only takes a slight mistake around this Brands Hatch circuit and it bites very, very hard and you'll be off into the gravel. You've got no tarmac runoff, so it only takes a slight mistake from one of these guys at the front and then that 100,000 euros is slipping away.
Yeah, well, Flamengo still holding on to third for Duncan Tappy. There's AC Milan in 4th place. More importantly, in a way for him, is the points that he's going to gain. The 1 point he's going to gain, another extra one over Tottenham. 6 points to the winner of this race, 5 for second, 4 for third, 3 for fourth, 2 for fifth, and a single point for the 6th place finisher. That looks like being Porto at the moment. Alvaro Parent not having a particularly good run around the hairpin, unfortunately. But as Beijing comes around this time, it will be to go on to the last lap of this super final. He's got a healthy advantage. Let's see what the gap is. Anderlecht crossed the line 2 seconds behind. Great lap that from John Martin. He's well on his way to the big money.
Yeah, no, he is. And it'll be a great result for John Martin. I don't think he's won a super final before, so he's well on his way, and he loves this Brands Hatch circuit.
No, he's not won one this year. He did get a win last year when he was driving for Rangers, but it's more important away to him now because he's had a difficult start to the season. They're not that high in the points, are they? But he's showing that he's got the ability to get these results.
Yeah, no, he does. And this luck has really turned his way this weekend. He's got the composure. Even after that front wing, he would have been angry, but now he's out front, and this will make up for it.
Duncan Tappy, fantastic result in prospect here. Still 50,000 euros on offer to the 3rd place finisher in the super final, and that is really going to bolster his hopes of staying in the car maybe for next time. The team surely have got to be delighted with what he's done this weekend. But now coming through the last wooded section and about to re-emerge onto the shorter Indy circuit is the Australian 24-year-old John Martin. He's heading down towards the final corner. He is going to win 100,000 euros here at Brands Hatch. Beijing have done it. He has done it. 100,000 euro the richer.
Absolutely fantastic. P1 and fastest lap of the race on your last lap.
Anderlecht finished second. Flamengo a great third.
Save fuel.
AC Milan are next up. Tottenham finish in 5th and Sporting and Porto finish in 6th. Let's see if we can have a word with John Martin on the radio. John, this is Ben in the commentary box. Well done. You're 100,000 euros richer.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It's just been a up and down day, really. I messed up race 2, but definitely made up for it just then. Car was awesome all day. Thanks to all the ADR boys. It's awesome.
Well done at the start. You really hooked it up off the line.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much wheel spin straight off to start with, and then it just hooked up and took off. I was like, sweet.
Fantastic. Well done. And John Martin, therefore, taking the €100,000. He said he had too much wheel spin initially, but then it went off like a rocket, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked pretty perfect to us up here. He's been with his team for a very long time, maybe 6 years through Formula 3, A1GP, and now into Superleague Formula, so it's great to see success with that team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for Alan Docking, I mean, he's a great guy. He's been running British Formula 3 for so many years. They work together in British Formula 3, and he's run some tremendous drivers over the years. And it's a really long relationship, as you say, that they've had now, and it's had its ups and downs, but they delivered today, haven't they? Let's take a look at that result then. John Martin, the winner from for Beijing, from Anderlecht in second place, with Flamengo a fine third for Duncan Tappy. Jelmer Berman, though, scoring a little more than Tottenham, so he will retain the championship lead. Porto, a little bit out of luck, finished in 6th place. Well, it has been an extremely eventful day, as we expected. Obviously, never wanted to see a big accident like we did see for Chris van der Drift, but the action on track, the racing has been close. The championship battle really has just been seesawing between these two cars, between AC Milan's Jelmer Berman and Tottenham Hotspur's Craig Dolby. And I tell you what, we are in for a wonderful remainder of the season, because there's just so little to choose between them.
Oh, completely. There's so much margin. You wouldn't have picked some of these guys. Some of them are down in 12th and 13th of the championship. You wouldn't expect them to take the win, take the super final this weekend, and it's important going into the winter break.
Absolutely right. And you know, with teams that can always pop up there and do this, it almost makes it harder for the likes of Craig Dolby and Jelmer Berman, because they never know who is going to be challenging them next. Look at this. What a moment for John Martin. Oh, he's lost his balance. Don't fall over, John. He might be able to win racing car races, but he's not going to win any prizes for gymnastics, I don't think.
No, I don't think he is, but what a moment for that team. What a moment for John Martin.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. And he's going to be celebrating that one deep into the night, I think, as the other podium finishes are down there. Davide Rigon and Duncan Tappy, they'll be celebrating. Let's take a look at what it means in the championship then. AC Milan 2 points ahead of Tottenham, heading off to the next round of the series. Anderlecht still very much a feature, though, after that great result from Davide Rigon. Olympiacos Basel are still there as well. Down a little further, Liverpool and Galatasaray. Beijing, of course, still not in the top 10, despite a really fantastic weekend here. It just is the way it goes. You've got to have two good results over the course of the weekend. Well, thanks for joining us here from Brands Hatch. From Ben Edwards, my thanks to Earl Bamber for joining us, to Abby Griffiths in the pit lane. See you next time for Super League Formula. Bye-bye for now. So looking down at Parc Fermé there with the three winners from the Super Final. Let's hear some reaction from John Martin.
Spoke at the very start of the weekend. You said how much you love this track. I know why now.
Yeah, for sure. It's absolutely amazing place here, and I've won it last year as well at Donington and here as well. So it's just awesome. You know, I love both the circuits, both English circuits. So to win here is very, very special. It's Brands Hatch Grand Prix is a very special place. So I really love it.
You did have a sort of mixed bag of fortune, though, because race 2 didn't go your way. You have had various unlucky situations during the season, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. The last 2 rounds have been absolutely totally unlucky for us, but we're really fast at Zolder as well. But